The interim government in Bangladesh was supposed to hold elections and, of course, ensure that a peaceful transition to a democratically elected government takes place. But the interim government has gone much beyond that. In fact, it's now actively deciding foreign policy, and it's also looking at many things. For example, also trying to ensure that the supporters or those associated or perceived to be close to the former regime, the Bangladesh Awami League government led by Sheikh Hasina, also in some way are being targeted now. And this has, of course, come to light more so with the action against Nusrat Faria. Now, Nusrat Faria is a popular actor, but there is much more to her than just her being an actor. In fact, she played the role of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina in the biopic on Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rehman, the founding father of Bangladesh, whose legacy the interim government seems intent on wiping out. Now, Nusrat Faria was traveling out of Bangladesh through the Shahjahanlal International Airport in Dhaka. She was detained. She's been arrested in a case registered at the Vatara Police Station. And this is, of course, a case of attempted murder in which several others have been also booked. But a lot of civil rights activists have been raising questions about what's going on in Bangladesh, and this includes the targeted attacks on journalists. Now, earlier, journalists also were booked in several cases, with co-accused being the former Prime Minister. So many are questioning if the interim government is now trying to disrupt and destroy, all Awami League supporters or those perceived to be close to or associated with the Awami League. Now, there are several other questions also that have been raised on the interim government. For example, it's been dilly-dallying on announcing a date for elections. It's also, taking what many believe to be the support of Islamic radicals and not, sort of announcing a date for elections, but somehow wanting to cling on to power. And many of those facing the heat from the interim government are those who have in some way been associated or perceived to be associated with the Bangladesh Awami League government that was led by Sheikh Hasina, which had to, of course, no longer continue given the fact that Sheikh Hasina had to leave the country. But the arrest of Nusrat Faria and posting her bail hearing to May 22nd by a court is also being seen as a continuation of these targeted sort of actions against those who are perceived to be close to Sheikh Hasina's regime or were associated in some way. In this case, Nusrat Faria, who's an actor who only played the role of Sheikh Hasina in that biopic that was released in Bangladesh. But her arrest, of course, has now led to a lot of sort of worry about the civil rights activists, about civil society members, actors, artists, journalists who are now also facing the heat of the interim government, which seems to be also quite okay with Islamic radicals taking center stage, anti-India voices taking center stage. But it's also now targeting its own citizens who believe in civil rights, who believe in democracy, who believe that the freedom to choose and the freedom to act in films is something that definitely falls well within the purview of what democratic rights are described as. But the interim government, of course, seemingly taking action against those who are perceived to be close to or in some way associated with the former government led by former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, the Awami League government. And the arrest of Nusrat Faria coming as a shock in Bangladesh, given that she's an actor who only played the role of Sheikh Hasina in a biopic that was a collaboration with India, actually, and directed by Shyam Benegal, the noted filmmaker. And this was, of course, something that she mentioned, and she was very proud of that role. But now she seems to be facing the heat from the authorities, who seem to be bent on going after anyone associated with the Awami League, or more importantly, the legacy of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rehman. And that seemed to be a continuation of those actions with the arrest of Nusrat Faria, the actor who played Sheikh Hasina in that biopic on Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rehman. For more such videos, stay tuned to NDTV's YouTube platform, where we bring you the news with the context and the developments that are taking place behind the headlines. Stay tuned to NDTV for all the news and updates. Thank you so much for watching.